Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Can we get serious now?
One thing that did happen during the 60s was some music of an unusual or experimental nature did get recorded and did get released. Now look at who the executives were in those companies at those times. Not hip young guys. These were cigar-chomping old guys who looked at the product that came and said, I don't know. Who knows what it is? Record it, stick it out. If it sells, all right. We were better off with those guys than we are now with the supposedly hip young executives who are making the decisions of what people should see and hear in the marketplace.
Success in the music business begins with a dream, a vision. This podcast will give you, the listener, the insight and tools to turn that vision into a reality. Meet the industry professionals who work day by day behind the scenes, helping to make those dreams come true. Welcome to the business side of music.
This is Bob Bender. You're listening to this edition of the Business Side of Music. In the studio with us today, we're actually making a little guest appearance ourselves, which is kind of cool. We're meeting with Logan Crowell, who is an entrepreneur, a music creator and educator, and you're also the founder and the president of a trade organization called Helping Our Music Evolve. H.O.M.E is the acronym for it. Provides affordable shared workspace, production facilities, networking, education, mentorship, and other resources for music creators and music business professionals. Logan spent years developing his craft as a songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and recording artist. Moved to Nashville to study music business at Belmont University. At that point, he began to see opportunities for innovation in the industry. He's since devoted his life to rethinking artist development, which I want to definitely talk about on that. Sure. By creating new business models while wearing hats as a producer, manager, talent buyer, and festival promoter. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
How did this brainchild of yours, this creation that we're sitting in, how did this come about?
I can trace a lot of it back to whenever I moved to town and just really looking to plug in, looking to network. I moved out here as an artist, and I wanted to start a band.
Were you looking for a deal at that point?
No, not looking for a deal. I knew that I wasn't quite to that point yet. What I really wanted to do was just build a band with some guys that were so incredible we could realistically do any number of things, whether that means look for a deal or that means just hit the road and blow people's minds until you start making money. Yeah. Really, for me, it was about building a band. And I started asking around, hey, I want to build a band. I want to plug in with other musicians and just kind of get some things moving. Where should I go? Just go to bars. That's where you go. And eventually you'll run into the right people and, you'll make friends and, just be patient. I was like, okay, well, that sounds like a reasonable answer for any other city, but it kind of blew my mind that there wasn't like just a basic networking hub. At that point, I was saying, doesn't it seem like there should be a community center for all the musicians?
Has anybody ever even thought about creating a community center? I mean, it's real. I got to tell you, the first time I've ever heard that phrase used.
I honestly don't know. It just seemed obvious to me whenever I moved out here that that's what was lacking. There's obviously thousands and thousands of musicians, phenomenally talented musicians that are already here in town. And then, they say Nashville's population is increasing by over 100 people every day. Right. And so you have to think there's a pretty good percentage of those people that are moving here
to seek some kind of a music career. Right. Yeah.
Conservatively, I would say 20% or something like that. So, that's just a crazy amount of people that kind of have this common interest and all need to find each other. And there was no real way to do that other than go to bars. And I like bars as much as the next guy, but, it's expensive and, it's not productive.
And how do you carry on a conversation in a noisy room with a band playing and everybody hooting and hollering? Yeah.
And that's what you see all the time here in Nashville is you'll see people, you can almost pick people out of the crowd that are there to network because they'll be looking around trying to find the people that look like the industry people or that look like they, are plugged in or whatever. It's unfortunate that that's the environment for networking because you should be watching the show.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's really the way it's done, honestly, for the most part in Nashville is you go to bars and eventually you get plugged in either through your PROs or there's a few other music camps in town. Like there's one called YEP, which is Young Entertainment Professionals, and they do a lot of mixers and stuff like that. So there are other entities that have dedicated music mixers. But even in those scenarios, it's always, oh, cool, let us trade cards. And then, maybe 1 out of every 10 you actually end up doing coffee or lunch with. Right. Maybe 1 out of every 100 actually turns into a sort of real professional.
At least something on to the next step. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you created this facility, and it's really, I noticed that when we took our walking tour through it, it's really multifaceted, which is unusual and very unique and very cool at the same time. But it's a very open space. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, not necessarily can eavesdrop in other conversations, but it's a great way to, for someone to say, hey, are you trying to do that? Because I might be able to help you. Right. Or can you help me? And that's part of the idea of this, right? Tons of organic opportunities to just show what you're bringing to the table. I don't even like to really call it networking. I prefer to call it relationship building. You can at least, in this scenario, if I run into you, first of all, I know that if you're at home, which is what we call it, Helping Our Music Evolve, the acronym is HOME. If I see you there, I know off the top that you are a music professional in some capacity, whether that means you're a drummer or, you have a podcast or whatever it is. So we automatically have that in common at the very least. And so it's a little bit easier to approach. You know that everybody in here is here to do the same thing, which is to grow their career. And they're looking to connect with other people. And then we've taken it a step further through building out the actual production facility to where, if I'm a producer and I'm talking to an artist, I could say, hey, let's go in the studio real quick and just listen to some music. I can play it for you. I can literally show you what I do. Or if it's a guitarist, hey, you can grab one of those acoustic guitars that's just sitting in the lounge, or you can go, into the rehearsal space and grab an electric and just jam out with somebody to see if there's chemistry, to see if you're on the same page musically. I think once I started kind of understanding what it would mean if all of those things were in the same place, that's what ultimately led me to, pursuing the idea. So it moved past the idea of it just being a community center. And then it was a few months after that, I had changed my personal focus to artist development. It was not long after that I had the idea to actually build that community center, but have the facility inside of it where everybody could jam or rehearse or record or perform and just really prove what they're bringing to the table. So it just shortcuts everything a lot quicker. You come into town, if you're amazing, you can come join HOME and you can immediately get the attention of 50, 60 people probably that might be able to help you in some capacity. When you started this, you actually had to find a home for the home. Yeah. And you found, I guess, basically, for lack of better terms, was a garage, I guess, at some point? Yes. It was a garage. And we're not talking about a 2-car garage behind house. Yeah. This was like an auto shop type garage. Yeah, it's a 7,000 square foot maintenance garage that is annexed onto the back of a building that's now being run as Center 615, which is office space, event spaces, and co-working. So just so happened when I ran into the owner of that building after I'd already been preparing the business and the concept, working on it for a year and a half, I ran into the owner of the building who had all this, this really huge space, and it was completely dilapidated. He didn't know what he wanted to do with it, but he knew he wanted to do something with it. It was literally the only piece of the building that wasn't finished at that point. If you look at the rest of the building, it's really cool. It's really swanky. It's, it's got a great just vibe and general design aesthetic, and
And so to have that on the back of it was so kind of funky and ugly, didn't really make sense.
Right.
But he also didn't know, what kind of tenant would want a huge space like that.
And you looked at it pretty much as a clean slate.
Right. Yeah, we both did. And that was the cool thing was we both saw it when we walked in there for the first time. We started, I started saying, oh, and this could be there and that could be there. And we both are very visionary people, and we just kind of looked at each other and we were like, yeah, it could be done, and it would be perfect. Actually, it wouldn't just be great, it would be perfect. And so then it was just about starting to get the drawings together and to start to get some numbers together of what it would really take to build it all out and execute the plan.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about executing this plan, because that really was the next step, and I'm assuming that as you developed this, it kind of metamorphosized into what it is now.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
We're in the studio today with Logan Crowell, who is the CEO founder of H.O.M.E, and you're listening to this edition of The Business Side of Music.
Hey, this is Doak Turner with Music Starts Here, and I'm sitting here with my pal Bob Bender, sharing expertise and wisdom right here on The Business Side of Music. Stay tuned.
You're listening to The Business Side of Music.
Hey, it's Chris SD from Sync Songwriter. Imagine what it would be like getting your music into the latest TV shows, movies, or ads. Your songs would not only get exposure in front of millions of viewers, you'd get paid to do it and gain a reputation as the songwriter that you are. I've been showing songwriters, composers, and artists how to get their music into TV and film for over 15 years. Collectively, they have generated hundreds of thousands of dollars from licensing their music. Their music has been on networks such as HBO, Bravo, ABC, NBC, Netflix, and more. In films or trailers such as Predator, Annihilation, Christmas Chronicles, Professor Mac, and many others. So many songwriters upload their music to websites hoping to get discovered. Unfortunately, this almost never happens with the millions of songs out there competing for attention. I show you how to get your music heard by the people who can actually make it happen for you. When you start getting your music licensed, you automatically develop a reputation in the industry. This lets you get syncs over and over again. If you'd like to discover how to connect with the right people in music licensing, just click the Sync Songwriter logo on the Business Side of Music webpage, and I'll see you there.
Hi everyone, I'm Larry Butler, and I want to send you a free digital copy of my new book, The Singer-Songwriter Rulebook, 101 Ways to Help You Improve Your Chances of Success. That's right, everything you need to know to launch your career as a singer-songwriter, all based on my 40 years in the live performance arena, and believe me, I've seen it all. In my book, you'll find the 10 things you have to deal with before even thinking about becoming a singer-songwriter performer. You'll also learn about the 5 things every singer-songwriter can do this weekend to make their live show better. 5 things I can guarantee that you are not doing already. Plus, there's tips on songwriting and staging, photo and video shoots, publishing, merch, dozens of other topics. All written for people who don't particularly like to read. And again, it's free. Just go to the Business Side of Music website homepage and look for my book cover. Click on it, and a free digital copy of my book will be yours. I'm Larry Butler, and I approve of this message. Thanks.
You're listening to The Business Side of Music.
We're back in the studio with our guest, Logan Crowell, who's the CEO and founder of Helping Our Musicians Evolve. The acronym is H.O.M.E, providing affordable shared workspace. If you get a chance to come to Nashville, you got to check this place out. We were blown away when Tom and Debbie and I came in here and walked around. It's got just a really cool vibe that you don't get in another place. But it didn't start out that way because it's this empty garage, and you had to do a lot of work, from what I understand, and a lot of money had to go into this to make it happen.
I really kind of just got thrown into the fire of
Did you know what you were getting into?
Commercial construction.
Yeah.
It was like, I knew it was that I was jumping in over my head. I have a tendency to do that, though.
Well, I think we all do in this business. So
I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable there. But it was, you know, I'm a pretty smart guy. I take it upon myself to learn what I can about things that I'm interested in. But when you start dealing with, you know, general contractors and subcontractors, and they're using lingo that you don't really fully understand, you know,
because you work in the entertainment industry, you're not a general contractor.
It just it made me understand this, that I had this huge gap in my knowledge, you know, about what it was that I was doing ultimately, which, you know, can be a little bit tricky. But I would say that, you know, my saving grace was Christian, who is the owner of Center 615, Christian Perro, and the Center 615 team. Specifically, his wife is a designer, an interior designer. This was, you know, their fourth or fifth commercial build out that they've done for themselves, much less, you know, for other people. So that it's like second nature to them. And so they really helped as I had, you know, questions and concerns. They helped me kind of understand it. And they also hired the general contractor who, you know, basically project managed the full build out. And that alone would have been extremely daunting for someone to do, because I don't know if you've ever gotten an estimate from a construction contractor, but it's really hard to get any like transparency out of it. It's really hard to understand why it costs so much, and you try to like crunch numbers, and you know, it's like, why does drywall cost that much? You know, I know how much one sheet of drywall costs. It doesn't look like there's going to be, you know, $50,000 worth of drywall here, but you know, that was, you know, what the number that I'm given. So like, okay, what do I do with that? You know, so a lot of it was going on faith. We also did a cost plus deal with the contractor, which because my portion of the build out, which the entire build out was about $1.3 million. My part of that was, you know, around a tenth of that I had to spend on things that I could never actually take back out of the building, if that makes sense. Not speakers. We spent way more than, you know.
Self-imposed tenant improvements.
Exactly. The tenant improvements that, you know, are there forever, and I can't get that money back. To me, that was way more money than I'd really ever dealt with before, other than spending on college.
Which was probably at least that much.
Yeah. And so it was really, a lot of it I just kind of had to go on faith that Christian and the Center 615 team had the right people involved. And then I had to focus on my piece of it and just kind of let go of, you know, like basically took some numbers to the bankers. At that point, the bankers knowing that there's going to be basically $1 million spent around project to make it happen, and that there are people that believe in the project that much to where they would just do that, was pretty convincing to the bankers. You know, because it sounds like a cool idea, I think, to most people, but when you're talking to bankers and these are not music business bankers, these are, you know, bankers that do, you know, small business loans and stuff.
They're suits.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, they were like, okay, this sounds like a cool concept, but, you know, I had some track record as an entrepreneur, but certainly nothing to this scale.
Right.
And so when we finally kind of pitched it right, got the numbers right, they signed off on it, and then we just started going, and you know, I started, you know, just the right people kind of kept coming along, right? Whenever I thought, man, how are we ever going to get this next piece done? Or how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? You know, it's like just the window alone was going to be close to $7,000. The one going from the studio into the live room, it's going to be like $7,000. And I was like, I don't even understand how 2 pieces of glass and a bunch of wood and some foam, which is ultimately what it is, could ever cost that much. And
but it does.
So I'm challenging it every step of the way is the funny thing. And no, it absolutely does. And once you build a studio, you understand why it costs so much, especially because ours is isolated. Each room is isolated really, really well from the other rooms. So, all these cool things kept happening where we ended up flying out Anthony's friend from Oregon to build the window for us, who had built those things and got it done for half the price of what we thought were, including the plane ticket.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about Anthony Falcone, who was my technical advisor through the whole thing. He's an engineer and has helped build at this point a dozen studios and has just been around the business for so long that he understood the level that everything needed to be at for the people in Nashville that are at that level to really care about it.
And that's the other thing too. You just can't, at least in this town, you can't slap some walls together and stick a pane of glass in it and call it a studio because there's just too many others out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some really great facilities in this town. And I guess that brings me to a question too. As you're building this, you didn't really have, I guess, for lack of a better term, you didn't really have a client base or a membership base at that point, did you?
No.
So you're using the word faith, and I think bankers probably would have used the word risk.
Mm-hmm.
But, you're building this with the hopes that, kind of like that baseball analogy, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
Obviously they did, because you now have how many members?
As of today, there's 181
Gotcha.
members on the directory.
Yeah.
So,
And those members are really kind of fill all facets of the music business. Am I correct?
definitely. We did a survey about 2 months in, so it's probably shifted since then, but at that point, when we sent out the survey, we were asking, which one of these descriptions, describes you best: music business professional, touring band, artist, songwriter, producer, engineer, et cetera, et cetera. And over half of the members at that point answered music business professional. That's the cool thing about this town, is there's so many people that are just really, really passionate about music, and they're musicians as well. So many of them play music and love that piece of it. And a lot of them started out with the same mindset that I did, that they were going to be this, huge artist or something. And then they end up finding another lane, and they find another way to be in that ecosystem and be around the creative process, still, just actually make a living.
Well, and I think that's something else too, is, we all came to Nashville with one set of goals in mind. I don't care what you do. But within a few years, or in some cases a few months, those goals change because the business changes. It's a living, breathing embodiment. And you may come as an artist or a songwriter or a singer, and you may wind up doing something else within the music business. Just like when I came to town, it was for the record business, and the record business changed, and you go into other fields if you want to stay within the industry. It's come to that point where, because it is constantly changing, and it is this living, breathing embodiment, that it helps to really start commiserating with other people within the industry. And you may find a niche that you hadn't thought of that maybe can take you down a different path that might be a good pair of comfortable shoes for you to wear.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the things that we try to focus on in the organization is just like team building. It's like building small and agile teams of talented people, and a lot of times these teams kind of overlap, where it's like, I'm the social media person for like 3 artists, or I do video production for 5 different bands or something like that. But from the perspective of the music creator, the artist or the band, they need that person that they can rely on, that's a fairly fixed cost, that they know, hey, I'm going to get high quality from this, and I can go back to it over and over again, whether that's a producer, an engineer, a videographer, whatever it is. So it's like, a lot of times people yeah, they kind of end up accidentally falling into something. They're like, oh, well, I just wanted to kind of support this artist. And then I realized, what they needed was, graphic design or something
and
like
I can wear that hat.
And,
yeah.
I started messing around on Photoshop, and I got really good at it in a couple months, and now I'm doing graphic design for all these people, but I'm also an artist, or I'm also an artist manager, and it's like, it's just crazy. The talent pool in this town is just ridiculous. Everybody's so good at what they do that really the big challenge is like getting those teams put together and then managing the projects in a way that can actually sustain a business
and flow smoothly.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I designed H.O.M.E the way I did, because it's like, with the online scheduling, it solves so many logistical problems, and it makes sense to constantly be around other people that are doing it. They're learning new social media hacks, or they're learning, how to leverage their email list a little bit better, or they're hip to new photography techniques, and whatever it is. But there's just an ongoing conversation all the time. Having a place like that where it's like, there's a lot of organic opportunities that are going to come. And then you also know that you can just lean on the facility itself to accomplish what you need to do. So then you can focus on actually building a business.
When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the different aspects, the different facets of the facility, because you have a lot of, we mentioned earlier, some open air space, and you have studios, but you've got a lot of things that can go on here simultaneously. Great. We're in the studio with Logan Crowell. He is the founder, CEO of H.O.M.E, which is helping our musicians evolve. And you're listening to this edition of the Business Side of Music.
Hey, this is Bob Ekman, and you're listening to the second most listened to music business podcast out there with Bob Bender of the Business Side of Music.
You're listening to the Business Side of Music.
Wow, I just joined the Music Starts Here community. This is a truly hidden gem for anyone in the music business. Whether you live in Nashville or anywhere else in the world, Music Starts Here is like a GPS for your music career. This is the place to be if you want to get advice and direction from some seriously talented musical people who have been where you want to go. Music news, events, and a great big community with resources for artists, songwriters, musicians, studio and tech, along with music business advice from pros in the industry, all on one site. Make sure you get your free profile now. Go to www.musicstartshere.org. That's musicstartshere.org.
Hi, this is Vinny Rebus, the founder of Indie Connect. Our goal is to ensure that you have the knowledge, the tools, skills, resources, and connections that you need to develop a profitable and long-lasting career in music. One way we do this is through these Business Side of Music podcasts. I'd also like to invite you to check out Indie Connect magazine, our free multimedia online publication packed with practical interviews and advice from music industry experts. Go to www.indieconnectmag.com. That's www.indieconnectmag.com. Let us walk with you and guide you every step of your musical journey.
You're listening to the Business Side of Music.
This is Bob Bender. We're back in the studio with Logan Crowell. He is the founder and president of the organization called Helping Our Music Evolve. H.O.M.E is the acronym. Here in Nashville, Tennessee, the studio is really kind of more than just a studio. I should say this facility is more than just a studio. You have a lot of different kind of melting pot points, I guess I could say, in this. You obviously have a tracking room and a control room. Then you have some different open-air workstations and a stage and a rec area and a courtyard. Was this all kind of what you were thinking about in the beginning when you put it all together? Did I miss any room at this point?
I mean, there's a rooftop lounge, there's conference rooms. It's just, it's really crazy. There was no way. I would definitely be lying if I was to say that I imagined it being this, at this level for the very first one. I knew that if I were to actually execute the concept to the degree that I understand it, that it would be revolutionary. And it's so important and such a huge need that isn't being fulfilled, that in the long run, it would turn out to be this grand, this big and awesome. I did think that for the first one, we'd have to start a little bit smaller. And then, it was the crazy thing with this particular place, us being, we're 7,000 square feet behind a 50,000 square foot building in a 5,000 square foot courtyard with an outdoor stage. And like I said, rooftop lounge. And it's just...
And plenty of parking.
Yeah, it's crazy the way that it worked out for the first one. And I do intend on doing more.
I was going to say, and you're talking about the first one. You've got others that you're envisioning in the pipeline?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is my vision for this is that anywhere there's a large pocket of music creators, there should be a home for music creators.
So you're not thinking just Nashville?
No. I'm thinking that in the long run of this organization, which, Lord willing, it lives on long past me, there's absolutely no reason why we can't realistically put these kind of facilities, all over the map, as long as there's a demand for it.
There's a music scene that can help
there's
fill
a
it,
music scene there, and they won't all look like it looks in Nashville. Obviously, this one, we had to do it kind of over the top because it's Nashville, and plus the fact that we landed in Center 615, which is already over the top, just kind of made it really, really crazy. But you got to think there's a huge music scene in Boulder, Colorado, and there's probably going to be one out there with a bunch of bluegrass musicians and jam bands, and it might be a shack or something. Who knows? The point is, this works is the thing. Is the membership is really affordable. And if you take a look at the numbers, it actually works. There's no reason at all. I mean, even with, we're really hoping to raise money through sponsors. And I believe that in the long run, that'll be a piece of it. It hasn't happened a lot yet. We do have a few that have been awesome so far, but nothing really major or significant, no huge influx of money from a big sponsor or a donor or anything like that.
It's mostly membership driven at this point.
It's absolutely membership driven. And so, at a certain level, what's going to happen is whenever the demand for it exceeds the supply, we're going to, at that point, have enough data to show the bankers, once again, we'll have them paid off for the first one, and we'll say, okay, look, here's where we're at right now, where we're projecting. Here's, why we think we should do another one in Berry Hill, or here's, we've identified that there's a huge need for this in Austin or LA or something like that. At that point, whenever we start to go after other cities like that, my plan is to really just have the online membership, or soon, this time next year, it should be a native app, a native phone app that will basically be able to leverage that to get data about where people are really resonating with this sort of thing. And we'll be able to have just some hard numbers to show the banks that, hey, we topped this thing out in less than 2 years from launch or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, a year from launch, honestly,
And when did you open the doors?
We opened the doors February 15th.
Of this year, 2018. Yeah. How did you find your members?
We're still doing that. Yeah. So
how'd you find number one, ground zero?
Number one, I would say, I guess our first member came from us actually partnering with YEP, the Young Entertainment Professionals. We did a little walkthrough. And at that point, I'd already had some sort of protocol in place, to a process basically for people to become a member. There was an online portal. There was a place where they were going to, their profile was going to live. And keep in mind, we had online members already because I have friends and family basically who were built online member profiles. But the first one that signed up and paid, she actually paid for a full year, and I want to say it was in late November or early December of last year.
So the doors weren't even open yet.
No, it's still just old nasty garage at that point.
Yeah.
We broke ground on plumbing late September, so November it didn't look like anything yet. But there was a little bit of a buzz going around about it. I work closely with Lightning 100 as well. So we did a little industry mixer and kind of announced the project. I'd also been out at some events working with them and talking about it, and had sponsored a couple of things, sponsored the Music City Mayhem competition, and was trying to really do it in an organic way at first. We've done some social media marketing, and it really doesn't seem to hit home via social media. Everybody's moving quickly, and it's really hard to, it's like you can do a little product, 20-second, look at this new product, and, buy now. That's not really what we're doing. It's hard for people to wrap their head around this concept a lot of times. What we need is just people to come take a tour, is how we are getting most of our members now, is just looking at different ways to drive traffic through the door. But yeah, at first it was kind of coming from a few different areas, and some organic partnerships I had made with other communities in town. And I think people always they have that FOMO, right? They hear like, oh, this thing is going to be cool. I don't even really know what it is yet, but
or what to do with it.
It seems like it's a good deal, and just go out on a limb. And I remember first one, she signed up for a full year. First, at that time it was $500 for a full year, and she said, "Hey, I'm into it. I see what you're doing. I can't see what it's going to look like yet." But she picked up that I was genuine about really just kind of changing the game for all the music creators.
So how does someone find you?
helpingmusic.org. That's the easiest way.
And then that has all of the information. You have different membership levels?
Yes, we have 3 membership levels. There's online for people who are not Nashville based. They can join via an online membership, and this is all a nonprofit, by the way. I don't even know if we mentioned that, but it is it's a trade organization. There's no free model. You have to be a member, and it's $5 a month to do the online. And then you get access to the member portal
But that allows you to interact with other members.
Yeah, basically it gives you behind the scenes access to know who is involved with H.O.M.E. And there's a lot of really, really awesome music business professionals, everybody from producers, publishers, managers. There's 5 indie labels that work out of there, and just so on and so forth. So it's this really cool incubator that's happening, and that in time we're going to see a lot of awesome things come out of it. There already are. I'm already compiling a lot of testimonials and stuff like that. But even just the online membership gives you an opportunity to reach out and network with people. You have contact information there, and you can see what everyone does and how they might fit into the picture for you personally. We have a community membership, which is daytime access Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then we have a pro membership, which is 24/7. You get your own key to the space, and you can you have online scheduling. You can schedule the studio or the event space or whatever, literally anytime you want to, anytime it's available. Know where everything's at, and you just come in and use it, just like you would a co-working space.
And I can tell you, every time that Debbie and I, or Tom, Debbie and I have come through here, it's busy. You see a lot of people here, and you see a lot of people interacting with each other, which I think is what's so important these days. Yeah.
Yeah, think about it. It's like if you're a producer, or you're a marketing person, like if you do some sort of freelance service, getting one new client is going to pay for your membership for a year probably. And so it's like, if you're an artist, getting one decent deal or a cut or a placement, or something like that is going to pay for your membership for a year.
Right.
So there's a very real opportunity to grow your business and grow your relationships in there, and actually look at what we're doing as an investment in your career, which is how I hope people are looking at it.
Logan, thanks for being on the show. And once again, they can find you at helpingmusic.org. Logan Crowell, the founder and president of Helping Our Music Evolve, H.O.M.E. Check out the website. It's a cool place. You have a little bit of something for everybody here.
Yep. And you can find us on socials at Helping Music. We're not on Twitter, but you can find us on Facebook and Instagram.
Very cool. Thanks for being on the show.
All right, thank you.
Don't forget to check out our affiliates, including Lab Canna, fine hemp products since 2014. Click on their link on our website for more information and how to order their product line. If you're interested in getting your music into film or television, click on the Sync Songwriter link on our website. Absolutely the best way to get your songs listened to by top TV and film music supervisors. This is how you can get your songs quickly licensed for your favorite TV shows and movies. Click on our website link to get a free digital copy of Larry Butler's new rule book for singers and songwriters, 101 Ways to Help Improve Your Chances of Success. Also, check out our other affiliate, Music Starts Here. You can find them at musicstartshere.org. Probably the best one-stop shop for the singer, songwriter, or aspiring musician who's relocating to Nashville or wants to. Last but not least, shameless plug for this podcast. Become a YouTube subscriber by going to the Business Side of Music page. You can hear all of our released episodes there. Also, check out our website at businesssideofmusic.com. Follow us on Facebook at the Business Side of Music Podcast and on Twitter at BizSideOfMusic.
The Business Side of Music is the creation of Tom Sabella and Tracy Snow and is produced by Bob Bender. The Business Side of Music is recorded at Music Dog Studios in Los Angeles, California and Nashville, Tennessee. Production sound design by Keith Stark. Voiceover and promo by Lisa Fuson.